Taste of Miller Lite and Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference, as I can attest. Nags, how are you doing carrying the G today?
Light as a feather, as always, gentlemen. Hope you're having an okay Monday in light of yesterday's events.
That's what I love about you, Nags. I said you carry it like the postal workers do, through rain, through snows, through sleet, through crushing losses, through bad years, through Lindy and Font, through everything. Yesterday is one of those things, and I opened the show, Nags, by saying a little dose of perspective is in order, because 1 year ago today, the Packers were sitting at 2-5. 1 year ago tomorrow, they beat the Rams, the Staffordless Rams. Were they Staffordless 20-3?
They were Staffordless. That is correct.
And then they went to Pittsburgh and lost to go to 3-6, which now they're 6-3. So on balance, things are up, but it doesn't feel that way.
Year over year. Yeah, no. Yes. Look, it's funny you lead with perspective, because I agree, and I've been preaching it for like about 24 hours now. But I understand fans being frustrated by what they saw yesterday, right? Like, I'm more than understanding for fans that want to gnash their teeth and wail and call for everyone to be cut and people to be fired, and like, none of that's going to happen. But I get that response, and I get that guttural kind of really deep reaction from fans, because look, yesterday was embarrassing. This is an opportunity to show that you belong in the conversation with some of the best teams in the league, and instead you spent the afternoon kicking your own butt. Like, I get the frustration from fans' part. So like, I've already talked to people online, both in my post-game chat, and then I have my chat later today, and I've got comments on my Twitter, and people are so kind of upset, and I get it. But if you pull back and look at exactly what you're talking about, like, on balance, they're ahead of where they were last year. We all know how they caught fire down the stretch last season. But, there's no guarantee that happens again.
Exactly. Every season is its own book. And the chapters go in different ways, right? And you can't you can't just expect what happened last year to carry into this year. You have new challenges, new people. It's just
no doubt
different.
And people, players make mistakes. I'm not going to be one of those people that says, if and that and we could have and all this. However,
right.
To that end, there were an awful lot of stupid penalties and drop balls that could have significantly changed the outcome of the game.
I mean, there were 4 third down drops alone,
and were there 2 in the end zone, right? I know one in the end zone.
There was one. Wicks had a drop in the end zone that was absolutely brutal, but just extending drives and giving yourself an opportunity to keep up in a game where, look, the defense held them to 17 points. The whole thing obviously swings on a completely boneheaded decision by Jordan Love, that pick 6 before the half, and then giving up a touchdown coming out of half. That pretty much sealed their fate. But they moved the ball all day. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot when it was time to go and score.
This is one of those, the box score is the ultimate lying statistic.
Because
it's like, okay, Nags, all right, we're going to go blind, and I'm going to call Nags at 3:05 yesterday. I'm going to say, Nags, I got this. The Packers are going to outgain the Lions 411-261. Josh Jacobs is going to knock on the door of having 100 yards. Jaden Reed's going to have 100 yards, and they're going to limit the offense of the Lions to 17 points. You taking that?
I'm signing up. No doubt about it.
That's 90% of those factors give you a win. But, there's a pick 6.
But, of course, the pick 6.
3 drop snaps and 10 penalties. And
going 1 of 4 in the red zone. That is absolutely killing them this year. They're like bottom 5 in the league when it comes to converting red zone trips into touchdowns. And that's what's cost them every one of their losses. If they just convert when they get in the red zone, they win these games.
Yeah, what was it? The 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, like that was not a good sequence.
That's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Or when your very first trip, when you take the ball because you want to get on the front foot, which I understand. I get people are kind of braying against the idea that it's kind of funny because my mentions were always filled with people going, why are you deferring all the time? And now Matt LaFleur is taking the ball at the kickoff and people are, why are you taking the foot? It's just damned if you do, damned if you don't stuff.
Exactly.
I understand wanting to get on the front foot, get a lead, etc., which they probably would have had if Jordan has a better throw and or Brooks just hangs onto the ball on that initial 3rd down in the red zone. They're probably scoring a touchdown there. But that's the difference, right? They do not execute in that situation where the Lions do. And that's to 100% the difference between these two programs. And I underline the word programs because if you think about where the Packers are as a core unit comparative to the Lions, to what the Lions have built as far as their team, their core structure, players wise, like we think of Matt LaFleur as having been in town since 2019. So you think, oh, they should be really far along. But this ultimate kind of core of the team since the turning of the page to Jordan Love, they're only in their second year. I mean, this is a very young program. Whereas the Lions, they've been together now like 3 going on 4 years. They're really, really building towards something where it does feel like the Packers are playing a bit of catch up in that regard.
They're really efficient. The Lions, almost surgical with Goff. How many times? Like, okay, so Goff had what 4 incompletions. The Packers had more drops than that.
Yes,
right. And
1000%.
Most of Goff's completions are, cross patterns with, but between the numbers and hitting the guy in the chest with his back to the defender.
Ben
and
Johnson,
very safe.
Great job of manufacturing really simple / easy throws for his quarterback to get, just 5-6 yards. That's all you need because then you're on schedule and you're playing winning football. I mean, how many times did we see him just fire it out into the flat and pick up, 4 or 5 yards? That's all you need to do.
That's all you need to do. It's the equivalent, KB, if you get paired, you're going off by yourself at the golf course and you get paired with that 75-year-old guy that hits it like 175 down the middle and he outshoots you. And
and he just takes all your money because
putting for par every time. And
you're like, what the hell?
What is that?
Yeah, I've been there.
It's the equivalent. That's what their offense is to me. Like they have a great running game, good offensive line. Kevin Zeitler is a mauler. I mean, that guy.
I hate look back at the tape. Hate watching him in Lions uniform. To
the point, Nags, a lot of people on the post-game show and even today, there's a churn. Like, why weren't they getting more pressure? And the Vikings pressured Goff a lot, and he carved them up willy-nilly like throughout that game. So
Goff was a great quarterback in
the perfect system.
He was a great quarterback in college. I mean, highly regarded.
He's a good.
And he's a good quarterback. He was just in LA. He might have been miscast.
Well, yeah, and he had to get used to the speed of the NFL game. And certainly the way the Lions have constructed the offense around the running game has certainly helped. I mean, that's what I keep banging on about at Cheesehead TV. I get the Packers, LaFleur, Love. They want to seemingly spread it around, get him in the gun, have him throw it around the yard. But the running game can be your quarterback's best friend. And it certainly has been for Goff in Detroit. Now, I know there are some mitigating circumstances with Love's injury status, the way he's fighting through stuff. Matt LaFleur straight up admitted today the reason they don't have him under center as much is because of the injuries. But, man, that running game can help your quarterback. Yeah. That's the direct through line there in Detroit.
And Josh Jacobs is explosive.
He's exceptional.
He's exceptional.
He's so good.
And it seems like they kind of pumped the brakes in the second half. Yeah,
they got down 24-3.
Right,
so
but nonetheless,
you have to throw. Yeah, you have to throw. You're not running there. So, Nags, what do you say to people that say, especially after halftime, they put Willis, and we saw Willis getting loose.
He's warming up, right?
In the press box, we thought, but he was literally warming up because it was cold and rainy, and he
exactly wasn't ready to go in.
Right. But what's your answer to people who say that even in the Jacksonville game, like, why didn't you go to him sooner? You see that Love couldn't have run a 2-minute drill and had him run up and clock the ball, right? Because it was anything more than 10 yards. He was struggling. Yeah. So what is your answer to those people? Because clearly LaFleur, they know that Love gave them the best chance to come back from that deficit that Love helped put them in. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I've had a conversation with Andy Herman about this just a couple hours ago. And what I keep coming back to is, now that, Matt LaFleur straight up admitted yesterday after the game that Love is, quote, fighting through things. Like, he's playing injured. Okay, fine. So that's a fact, right? Why are we not sitting him? Why is he being made to go out there? I know he wants to. He clearly wants to fight through these things and get on the field and play. I understand. Face of the franchise. You just paid him this huge contract. But that doesn't fit with the idea that you want him there long term. Is he fighting through these things and creating bad habits? Because that's what it feels like. The guy has not been right since week 1. And now we completely see him throwing more interceptions this year. He's up on his total from last season if he throws one more. We're heading into week 10. That's just not trending in a great direction. So, like, if they were going to put Willis in yesterday, I would have understood it. But like you say, they clearly thought Jordan with his arm gives them the best chance. He wants to play, so they play him. But I think there's got to be a discussion if they come out of the bye week when he gets away and he gets the time away, gets to heal up a little bit. But if he's still not right, sit him down until he is. Because right now, I don't think you're doing your team any favors trotting out a guy who is clearly playing injured.
The
calculus, in that weather, too.
Yeah, the calculus,
weather too. Yeah,
the calculus on that, though, I see the bye week gives both ways. Like, oh, we can sit him and give him another week of rest, or like if he tweaks something, he's got a week off to recover. And it's not like you're playing because you're gonna. What lies ahead is after this bye. Don't they have 4 games in 18 days? Like
they do indeed.
Bizarre back-to-back Thursdays of Thanksgiving, and then going to Detroit and
then the Detroit game.
That's a pivotal stretch, and you want him at his best for that. You want your best.
But here's my thing. But here's my point. Here's my point. I remember talking to David Bakhtiari about this when he was dealing with his knee issue and the way the Packers had talked to him and the medical people had talked to him. Their quotes were always around, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but we don't want you back for 4 games. We want you back for 4 or 5 years. You got to think long term here. And again, I come back to, is Jordan developing bad habits, trying to overcome these injuries? Because look, he's doing things he didn't do last year. Some of it is decision making, but some of it is trying to play through these things. You see, he can't step into certain throws. He's trying to escape the pocket, and he really can't. Like, there are moments here that are calcifying.
Yes,
and the danger is that becomes his norm. I want this guy to heal up and be the guy that they paid and expected to lead this football team into the future, not just in 2024.
I don't mean this to be a disparaging remark by any stretch of the imagination, but could you be in a situation where he thinks he's better than he actually is and trying things that he may just not have developed to the point that he could pull off, right? And, you know, you can't fault him for that, but you might just have to kind of rein him in a little bit. And I'll give you another example. I think by and large, and I've said this, when I watched the Jets game, it's like you think, you know, Aaron Rodgers thinks he's going to be the next Tom Brady. Well, you're 4 years behind him, dude. And he was doing amazing things at your age and you're not. Yeah, so, you know, that's a once in a lifetime thing. Maybe your head is telling you can do things you can't.
We saw Rodgers maybe you got to learn to play when you're compromised. We saw Rodgers limp around with the calf and stuff.
Yeah, but
I'm cold weather and still, you know, get it done at his peak. But isn't that maybe that's part of the learning process? The guy's in his second year as a starter.
Right. That's the thing. He's been around for a while. It's his second year as a starter. He had a lot of success, and maybe I can make that play. I can make that play. Well, maybe you can't.
Well, here
right now.
No. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, KB. I hear what you're saying, and you're right. Yeah, he is definitely pushing it. Right, like there's no doubt. Yeah, like the proof is there on the field each and every week. He can make those plays. He's made them. He knows he can make them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, yes, he overreaching a little bit, trying to do too much. I don't think you can watch that pick 6 yesterday and come to any other conclusion than, absolutely, 1,000% trying to do too much. And what's crazy is that then later in the game, he has that play where the ball gets knocked out right at the sideline, and they're lucky it bounced out of bounds rather than becoming another turnover. And you hear Brady on the call going, throw it away, throw it away. Like at some point, that message has to get home. I get wanting to be aggressive. I get wanting to make a play. But, man, there is a time and a place, and especially at the end of a first half when the fulcrum is about to swing your way and possibly you can get some points on the board instead of handing them points. And, oh, by the way, they get the ball coming out of half. Got to be smarter with the football. That's true.
Yep, that was brutal. All right, next, the flip side is no one in Detroit's going to shed a tear because of Aiden Hutchinson, and they've had their share of injuries through the first half of the season.
Yes,
but
sir.
Josh Myers, Jair, and Evan Williams, who knew he was going to be this impactful by his presence and his absence as a rookie? It's stunning because his fit in the run game and what he does and just his instincts and what he adds definitely missed the last 2 weeks.
He's the whole package. That's what's so surprising, that I mean, we saw it this summer. He was certainly impactful and certainly jumped off the field. There's no doubt about it. You saw it in those training camp practices, saw it in the preseason, but you've certainly seen it now in the regular season when they've inserted him in there. And now, to your point, when he's not been in there, it's been shockingly different. And it's not one thing. It's not just his football IQ, which is excellent. It's not his ability to go sideline to sideline and make tackles and not overrun things and diagnose on the fly, the way he comes to balance and just gets guys down in the open field. He is the absolute complete package. And you're right. Things look very, very different when he's not back there. So hopefully coming out of this bye week, he'll be closer to playing, and I think he will be. But yeah, the difference is stark. And it's weird to think that way about a rookie.
I said that to the boys in the press box yesterday. I'm like, this is going to sound stupid, but they miss Evan Williams more than they miss Jair.
No, zero doubt. Especially yesterday.
They do.
100% against that team.
I agree.
No question about it.
When I saw
doubt.
that was out for the game, that one did bother me more than Jair.
Yeah, and he's catching it too, Nags. People are like, he's never available. What's the deal? I mean, you saw him limp into that last play in Jacksonville and then not practice all week. And it's not like he's jaking. It's like he doesn't want to play.
But I understand that, again, talk about understanding frustrations. It is a little disconcerting that your guy that you paid top dollars to, supposed to be one of the best in the league, can't stay on the field. I mean, he has missed a boatload of games since signing that contract. And whether, I get it, I 100% understand he is not, quote, pushing the realm of like, oh, he could play, but he's not, etc. I don't think any of that's going on. But I get fans' frustration with this is our premier corner who cannot stay on the field. It's a, basically a dice roll every week about whether, okay, we can play one way on defense, but wait, nope, no Jair. We have to play a completely different way because now we're down to the depths of the depth chart.
Okay, Nags, last thing for you is how do you clean up the penalties?
Oh,
like they're made by,
that's the thing. If it was one guy, it'd be easy, but it's everybody, and you never know who it's going to be.
Yeah,
I mean, you had Zach Tom out there with a false start. What are you supposed to do? He's having an all-pro season. What are you going to bench him? It's like there's every dude on the team is making these mistakes at some point. So what do you do as a coach? You're obviously coaching what you can as far as you got to be disciplined, you got to be focused. But at some point, it is incumbent upon these players to get their heads in the game. That's what's blowing my mind.
And there are a couple things that blew my mind yesterday, and the top two were that the Lions in their first outdoor game handled the weather better than the Packers. I don't know if Packers didn't switch to the leather gloves to have better grip,
right?
Perhaps because it was like skipping off hands, and that was one. And then that the branch ejection didn't lead to anything. He didn't even notice a drop off, and he's like the soul of their backfield, and he's like their glue guy now that Aiden Hutchinson gone, obviously, but he's the glue guy in that defense, and he gets thrown out on a somewhat questionable call, and there was no dip. The Packers didn't capitalize.
Oh, I didn't see that as questionable,
and I didn't either. But here's the thing:
the penalty, yes, but not the ejection. The ejection came for the woofing it.
Well, he had a
literal hit.
He had an extra. Yeah. No, he had an extra step he didn't have to take, a step and a half, and lowered his helmet. That was.
But you don't usually see those in
you don't. You don't.
No. That's a Saturday call.
Your it was 100%. But to your overall point, you're right. I mean, it was clear the Packers were trying to gin up a few shot plays. They could never block it up, though. I mean, on the pick six itself, that's a play where they've got Jaden Reed on a deep post, and obviously they're trying to take advantage of the lack of safety play there, and they've got him wide open. But Jordan can't get that protection, breaks down, and he gets flushed from the pocket. And it's a 3-level game, and you can try to take advantage of that. That absence, but everybody's got to be on the same page. Everybody's got to be executing what's called, and clearly down in and down out, that was not in the cards for the Packers yesterday.
It was an ugly day. Watch the tape, flush it, take a bye week, come back and play the Bears at Soldier Field, right?
That is right.
Now, if this happens with the Bears, I'm going to the Tower Bridge.
All right, relax. All right, a lot of ball game left, a lot of season.
All right, okay, now
Bears still suck. Let's go. Yes, come on now. Coming off the bye week in Chicago, go to Will's Northwoods, get yourself some Carry the G Cream Ale. You're going to be right as rain.
Fantastic. Nags, thank you for carrying the G.
Thanks,
Dose of
Nags.
sanity. Always appreciated. Love chopping it up with you on Mondays. Well, any day, but especially Mondays after a game, my friend. Talk to you next week.
Good to talk to you guys. Talk to you next
Thanks,
week.
thanks.
All right. Aaron Nagler, all of our Packers go-to guys, brought to us by Rogers Behavioral Health, Hildebrand Law